In today's video, I'm so excited to interview Cody, a Canadian who is a seven-figure options coach, a stock investor, a real estate investor, an entrepreneur in Canada. When he was 18 years old, he came to Canada as an immigrant and studied engineering and almost had to drop out in second year because he couldn't afford the international tuition fee. Now, fast forward over his 12-year period, he's left engineering and started his own business. So in today's video, we're going to talk about his biggest financial mistake, his best investment ever, and something that a lot of you are interested in, especially if you are big on investing, big on options. We're going to talk about taxes in a TFSA and in a non-registered account from someone who's actually done it. Now, if you want to learn more about how to grow into a multi-million-dollar account, Cody interviews people in his podcast called Wealth Busters. So let's segue into the interview.
Touching on those 4 years when you ventured into becoming a full-time entrepreneur, what was kind of like your biggest financial mistakes and how did you recover?
So I would just like share the story. First year, it's just me. At that time, I was just selling a course. So like besides the real estate business, I was just selling a course, teaching people. I was doing one-on-one first, one-on-one training for people doing stock option, few $100, keep upping until the point my calendar's booked up. And that time is when I created my YouTube channel. For the first 3 months, my Facebook group has 4,000 people in the first 3 months. So I'm like, just went ballistic. So I'm like, I couldn't do this. So I'm like, I created a course. I don't know what a course really means. I want to give people the most value. So I give people the course, and at that time it's just me. I give a few webinars, just how you did it in the past, right? A few webinars, and first year was great, multiple six-figure, help a lot of people, but that's when I worked the hardest because I didn't even know what a website is.
It's a huge.
I don't know what a website is. I don't know what CRM is. I don't know what Zapier is. What the heck? I have no idea. And that's when I think about like 1 year in, I hired my first virtual assistant taking care of my back end. That's when I learned like who, not how. So I started hiring the first person. And then I started hiring coaches. I started hiring more people. I started hiring people doing my social media. And the second year is like, you make the same amount of money gross, but in terms of net, it went down a lot. And I'm like, what am I doing this? I'm training people. I'm learning new things. It's the pain that any entrepreneur has to go through, especially for the first business. And I went through all that. I'm like, should I just fire everyone and just like keep happy, keep all the money? I make a lot richer that. Third year, same thing, grew, actually went down the third year because if you remember 2021 to 2022 is when the market kind of dipped in the stock. So a lot of people, all the COVID babies, COVID hype, the junkies thought that it's great. And then the market tanked, growth stock went down. So a lot of people left, went back to work. So that's when like the market was doing really well. So the business was like actually went down by 20%. And that's when I carried the most amount of people. And that's when like we really truly push and learn. And this year we've been blowing out the park and all that, just personal growth, business growth, and know really how to hire people and all that. So it's really sunshine and rainbow. No, it's not. But would I trade anything for that 4 years of experience? Of that, going from one-on-one coaching to a course to having a small group of VIP to now we have hundreds of people in our mastermind, helping them out, have a whole system, have 4 coaches, have a team of 8 just for that business. Like I will not trade that, right? But is it painful? Yeah, it's really painful in the beginning to just see you thought you make a lot of money when you start hiring people. I was like, oh, this is how much I kept. Oh my God, for that, that's the same amount I work a full time now. I'm like, working 12, 16 hours per day, worry about this, worry about that, and going all the white hair. And but I think it's all worth it once you push through it. Not everyone makes it because a lot of business break in the first 4 years, but I'm fortunate enough to keep pushing through it.
Yeah, I mean, I always for me, it's like I've always been wary of all those carrying costs is what you're talking about, and I feel you. I mean, just knowing like when you're starting out and you're carrying basically a bunch of payroll, right? And you're like, maybe there's some months you're like, how I'm gonna make payroll? Like that's what I could imagine feeling like. And then at the end of the day, you spent so many hours and you're like, wow, I didn't even make a dent, like in terms of you thought you had a expectation, you had a certain expectation for that yearly. You see on YouTube, they're like, okay, you got to go 30% growth, 50% revenue
It's not
growth.
linear,
No,
man.
it's not linear. It's
not
literally like a stock.
At first you're the superhero, and then you start hiring people. You're like, my net it goes down, and like I was struggling. The market changed. Should I do it? And I think like what really helped me, and a lot of younger people or people who never done business before that asked me, Cody, what was something that you truly learned from that? And what I learned from that is I kept talking about this is fast, medium, and slow money. So business is kind of like a fast money. It's operational. Same as my stock option investing. We can close position 1 to 20 days, like by selling options. So we have fast money there. We have the coaching there, and we have like different referrals, affiliation, all that. That's my fast money. But my medium money could be selling options on individual stocks, or doing real estate deal that might take a few months to refinance, and all that stuff. But the slow money is I keep tacking things into my tax-free saving account, RSP, just buying S&P 500 and all that. Just share my tax-free saving account screenshot on my social media. I hit 40%. I didn't do much. 40% over the year, one year, right? Last year. So if you have fast, medium, slow money, when fast money, some of the parts stop working, has there been time I have to use other sources to fund different things? Fast money to medium money, or medium money to fast money, slow money to, but it's because you have all taken care of. So if something break, something will break, trust me. And you have different source to pull from. So it's not like one day I'm eating sushi, the next day I'm eating instant noodle. And that's how I kind of design. I have whole life insurance and all that stuff, right? And I'm way under leveraged. So my mortgage broker is like, Cody, the amount of cash you're sitting on seemed kind of dumb, but when the real estate market turned, you seem like a genius, because a lot of people over leverage, and every property I put in $30,000 just for a house, just sitting there doing nothing. But when the interest rate hike, payment double, everyone's like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. I'm like, well, it's bleeding, but I have 30K to bleed through. Right, so things like that I learned over the years, and I really learned from just a great investor like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, right?
Yeah, the value investors. I mean, I just did a video on that, scaling to 14 properties by the time I was 35 years old. And it was actually very...
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what I was actually talking about not being over leveraged. It's a cocaine addiction, because you have access to money in a low interest rate environment. But I've gone through a higher interest rate environment before the financial crisis, so I'm totally dating myself. And that's when I realized, like, now it happened again. And that's why, like, it's all about risk management, and so that you can survive the downturn, and you have multiple streams of income with different time frames is what you're talking about. So this is really good. I mean, this is all the stuff that
This is true.
do. It's all
Real thing.
Yeah,
You're doing it too, right?
I am. But I'm more of a snail. I'm like the little snail, and my husband calls me I'm super slow, but I take the cautious route. I'm always like very cautious. But let's talk about something fun. What's your best investment you've ever made?
I would say the best investment, not the cliche of like personal development, but the best investment I've made, I think, other than like monetary wise, I think real estate is really good, because without the real estate of that big boost in the Canadian market, I won't have such a big amount to put in my trading account, right? And then the trading account make more money, I go buy more real estate on top of my other income. But the best investment I'll say are the investment that really hurts me momentarily the most. For example, I signed up for different business coaching. When I didn't know how to do course, I signed up for a course. I remember it was like 15,000 USD. I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But how much that really make me over the years. I didn't know how to create a course, what platform to use, how to tie everything together. How do you bring people from not knowing you to trusting you to buying from you, and you bring results for them and they continue to come back. I didn't have that experience. I wasn't brought up in an entrepreneur family, so I still go through that. And for the past 3 days, I was at an event learning how to speak in public on stages, because now I speak a lot on stages. And that is one of the skills I never learned in school. And if you can hone that skills, you can do a lot of things. If you guys look at all the CEOs like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos and all that, they are all great speaker.
Well, I would say not Elon. But yeah,
Elon has his own way of niches that he attracts. So
yeah, that's true. Okay, maybe he's
not the best speaker, but they get the stuff done.
Steve Jobs,
like things like that, and they're a great speaker. So, I would say the best investment is investing in myself. All the things in the short side is so painful. It's like, why am I paying $50,000? Sometimes I pay $30,000 for something. but the money I make back is always 10x just in that same year.
That's good.
Of course, I do my due diligence. I'm very careful. But if someone is ahead of me, making 10x of what I'm making, doing similar things, I'm like, if you could do it, I'm an engineer, man. I'm driven. I'm 10 years younger, or some of them are 5 years younger than me. I'm like, you could do it? Dude, I could do it too. And that's how I look at it. I only listen to people who are ahead of me, whether in relationship or in finance or just things that I look up to, and I'll just pay for it. And it's not like every time it works out, but 90% of the time it works out. And then 90% of the time that 10x has brought me where I am 4 years later. So that's how I look at it.
I love that. I mean, I have the same mindset. I would say though, I'm a bit slower. I don't get my 10x in 1 year. It's more like many years later, because I'm again slower at executing, mainly because I have kids and I have other. I know, like it's like it slows you down.
And it's a balance, right? It's a balance, because it's good that you brought up kids. The reason I push so hard now is because when I grow up, my parents was using the finance things as an excuse not to really spend a lot of time with me. So looking back, I'm like, how can I do a lot more things now and be more automated, have a whole team so that I can pick up my kids to school and pick them up when they get off school, and I can spend time with them hours per day and say, hey, I'm going to teach you about math, play sports with them, because I didn't really get that, right? So that was a reflection of things. So I work extra hard. I spend a lot of money on operating expenses so that I have the time and bandwidth, so that when I have kids, I don't want to, be that person that I work everything for my family. But you're doing the totally opposite, because you're never home. You're always traveling. You just stress all the time. You're that person that no one want you to be around. So that's because of all that deep reflection. I'm like, I better work hard now. If I'm going to get hit, I get hit now. So when I have a family, it seems like everything is fine. Right?
Yeah, you got it right. I was going to say, that's a good way to say it. So then, just curious, I just took a speaking course, but I did it online.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, who did you go to?
And I went to an event. It was an in-life event in Toronto.
Everything's in Toronto. That's
I don't know if they're going to run it again. So the event, I don't know if they can run it again. So there's no point mentioning the name. But it's in person, and they're really training people how to make money speaking.
Okay.
So if people look it up, make money, because at the end of the day, if you are a living human being, whether you're working a full-time job, entrepreneur, even stay-at-home mom, believe it or not, you are selling yourself or selling something every single day. So if you're doing that, you better get good at it. If you're good at it, people don't feel like you're selling. You just bring them what they want, from the pain island to the pleasure island, and you're that boat, bring them there, right? So, and really, I learn a lot. Does it mean that was life changing? No, but there's always things. I even look at how they run that event. I learn a lot, not just from the speaking side of things, right? So like I said, if I pay for something, I'll make the most out of it. I never complain, right? Because there's always something to learn.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Because you look at it from like, how can I really juice that? Like squeeze that lemon, get all the juice out of it.
I'm just amazed when I take notes. Like when I go to an event, I take notes is like investigate further, one column, to do now, by who, myself, my team, which member, and then things that are like, okay, worth a looking into, things like that. So that's how I take notes, and general notes that I learned from this event. So I compartmentalize everything.
Super engineer. I was gonna be such a systems thinker. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a very good way to order. I didn't even think of that. I just like regurgitate like key takeaways is my big thing. Yeah. Let's talk about one financial advice you would give to yourself. If you wave a magic wand and go back all the way back in time, what would you tell yourself?
Because I would say start making money a lot earlier, whether it's working for someone. The reason I said that is because I'm an immigrant. So I came to Canada at the age of 18. And Asian parents like we have, our background is like our parents don't really want us to go work, just like focus on studying. Don't worry about making that little money. You're gonna make the big money if you go to school, top grade. And unfortunately, when I was studying engineering at University of Toronto, I was an international student. So it's like, for people who doesn't know, it's like $30,000 just tuition fee alone. So for me to have the incentive to even work part-time and help is very little. I can only work like 10 hours, I think, per week or something that I can work. So what's the point? And I got to weight the priority, right? So I didn't really work until I would say my PEY year, which is like my third year of doing 16 months internship. So That's when I realized this is what it's like to make money and what it's like to spend my own money. Because before that, I was always spending someone else's money. And I don't care. I just spend it all and I want more. And it's not a joke. It's only until you start spending your own money. And you have to go through that. Okay, it's by spending my own money. So when I make a decision, I'm fully responsible for it. The happiness and the sadness and the regret and all that is all you. So you start being fully responsible for it. And a lot of people might just get stuck as, oh, that's too expensive. That's that. But you got to go through that and start making more money. Like the money we're making now is just like, if that makes sense, if that can buy back my time, I hire a chef, I hire a cleaner, I have a dog walker, I have a team. Let's just say, if that doesn't really I wouldn't say worth my time, but if that's something I'm good at, I'll hire it out because I can do something better, like doing this interview with you.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, that's really, it's easier said right now because you're successful, but when you're at that age, it's hard. You're like,
you have to go through that.
You have to go
You're spending someone else's money, all of a sudden stop. It's like, oh, I didn't know I'm broke. Okay, work more overtime. And now like running a business. No, don't spend. Oh, okay, if I don't spend, I die. My business dies. So I got to spend. Okay, how do I spend it wisely? Should I do it myself? All those decisions. And that's a real life decision.
Yeah,
right?
I know we could talk all about, there's so many books on this, but until you actually go through it, that's when you really learn, like the pain has to be that big I know for me.
Yeah.
Sounds like for you. Let's talk about taxes, because a lot of my viewers are very interested in how taxes work in Canada. And since you're an options seller, share like what you've experienced. So do you sell you can't sell options in your TFSA. You only could sell covered calls. So that gets treated differently. And then versus like doing it maybe through your corporation, which may or may not be active income, right? So anyway, I think I threw too much. Just tell us like as if like we are super, like in a simple manner, like how you deal with it.
Yeah, so I get asked that a lot because I have hundreds of students. They're all at different levels. Some people are still working a full-time job. Some people are real estate investors. Some of them are even from US, like Dubai, all the first world country. So my students all over the world. So I'm assuming you don't want to hear about the Canadian side because most of my business right now is still based in Canada. My account's still based in Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So the Canadian side, full disclaimer, I'm not an accountant. Please advise consult your own accountant. This is just the way I done it, where a lot of my students has done it and has proven to work so far. Okay, I take no responsibility of this. The way I start investing in real estate, like I said early on, I know real estate, I know all these things I'm doing long term. So the way I set up is I set up a 3-tier system. I don't know if you heard about it. So I have a holding corporation up top, and it owns my real estate holding and my active management business. And then I personally own the holding corporation. So it's for liability purpose and again, for tax efficiency purpose. So what I would say if you're watching this is if you're still working a full-time job and you're selling options, if it's in a margin account or a cash account, you can do whatever you want. You can sell options, you can buy options. There's no limitation. And if you still have a full-time job, arguably, based on there's different criteria by the CRA, there's like what's the frequency of your trading, what's the knowledge of your trading, there's like 8 criteria. I have a lot of different CPAs come on my course to talk about it, but I'm not going to go in. And so if you have a full-time job and you don't do it too frequently, technically you can treat it as a capital gain, and it's only 50% of the profit will be taxed on, right? But if someone like me, I'm teaching this, someone like me, based on my account, even though I only trade 1 to 4 times, I only put 1 to 4 position every month, like different bigger contracts because of a bigger account. But in the CRA's eyes, I'm still an active day trader because comparing to everyone else, 99% of people don't trade more than 1 or 4 times per month, especially when you're a value investor. So I'm considering myself to be the safest way is I'm a day trader. So a lot of my students say, oh my God, Cody, I already make multiple 6-figure. If I do your strategy, whatever, I treat it as a day trader as my active income, I've already been taxed at a marginal tax rate of 54%. What the hell? Here's the thing. What I would tell them is what I'll probably tell your audiences too, is make your first $10,000 so that you know this works, proof of concept. If you make more than 10K per year, now you can consider opening up a corporation. And that corporation you can put money in that corporation, and that can shelter the tax that you're making. What I mean by that is yourself, the money you're making, you're paying a personal marginal tax rate, let's say 54%, 40%, whatever that is. If you open up a corporation, the money that you make in there, as long as you don't take it out to pay yourself, it'll only be taxed at a 12.5%. if it's less than $500,000 every year. If it's after $500,000, it's at 24.5%. But get a proof of concept in your personal account to make 10K. And after that, you can use the 2K out of 10K to open up a corporation because it takes money to initiate it, takes money to maintain it. But at that point, you can justify the annual filing fee and all that to shelter more tax. And you don't have to get into more liability thing because I have different business. I'm sheltering liability and doing different things. But all my big trading account is all up in my holding corporation. So I only pay myself what I need, and the rest just up there paying a lot less. I can use those money, move to another company to buy real estate. So it doesn't have to tax all the way down, and you snowball a lot faster. And you can pass it on your corporation if you want to. So I'm not an accountant, so don't like listen to this. I gotta go open up a corporation. Like, don't do that. Ask your accountant again and understand the pros and cons of things. But I would just say in the beginning, don't scare yourself so much. Go make 10K first. Because my accountant always tell me, Cody, tax could be aftermath. Prove it first. You worry about making money. I worry about tax efficiency. So make money first. Don't think about, I gotta be tax efficient. So some of the people want to be, so Cody, I need to open up a corporate account and an IBKR before I start doing this, right? I'm like, do you know how long it takes? A month. They're gonna ask for everything by your birth certificate. So meanwhile, start in your personal account, get a proof of concept, and do that in parallel. And now you have the money to do that. You can justify it to yourself.
Okay, I've done this whole thing. I don't have a 3, so I'm way more simple. Simple. And I have a corporation, and I do have like a trading account personally and within my corporation. But like you said, it depends on the frequency of your trades, and because you're teaching it as well.
Yeah, there's knowledge level. My face is all over TD Bank. Like when they CRA come in, it's like, Cody, you're passive? You don't know what you're doing? What's the argument here, right?
Yeah. So yours is like very much treated as active income.
I just be the safest side.
Yeah.
I want to be the safest. It's actually better in the corporation to be treated as active because that get taxed less.
Yeah, 12.5%.
So that's why,
yeah.
hey.
Oh, it's about the same. Well, I think it's like, anyway, 50% of the profit, and then...
No, active income in corporation is only 12.5.
No, I know, but it's only capital gains rate's only 50% of the profit.
No. Like the way we treat it is we're day trading. We're treating it as day trading in the corporation, so it's 12.5. But if it's capital gain, then it's more passive, like real estate. Your rent is the net profit, 50% that will be taxed on it. So I'm treating it as an active.
Yeah. So you're right.
Ask your accountant. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah, like for me, I just do it like I know my accountant treats it like capital gains rate for me.
Maybe it's more tax efficient
for me. Yes,
everyone's different.
It's definitely different. So definitely don't need to be super complex, especially if you have other sources of income and you don't teach option selling on YouTube. So
I do teach options. Well, I share what I do. I never suggest anything. I just share what I done and my own results or my students' results. I don't never advise anything.
Yeah.
Right?
But then just on the tax-free savings account and the RRSP, you can't do option selling, but you can sell covered calls. So that is treated how? Like,
yeah, so a very, very good question. I mean, you open up another can of worms. Good job, Tracy. So TFSA, for people who doesn't know, is after tax money that goes into TFSA. So that's why the money you make in there will not be taxed further, whether that's profit or whether that's losses. If it's losses, you cannot carry over the losses. If it's a profit you make, you don't get taxed on it because it's already been taxed. Now, the tricky thing is, you guys see my tax-free saving account. The reason why I'm not very active in there is because the moment you get very active, you can get audited by CRA and they can argue that why are you doing the wrong things in the wrong account? When you make consistently this amount of money and this is the amount of trades you make every year, you are a day trader and you are abusing our system.
Yeah.
So tax-free saving account, I just put in, like the typical SPY, QQQ, sales and cover call. That's it. I mean, there's no tax implication there. If I get audit, it's still fine.
It's a frequency. It's a frequency.
And then the RSP is actually, in terms of trading permissions, the same as TFSA, but RSP has a different rules play in this when you're working full time. That's, for example, for myself this year, paying myself $100K. Why? You're like, Cody, what are you trying to do, right? It's like, this is the point where your mortgage broker and your accountant is always fighting with each other. Mortgage broker is like, Cody, pay yourself $100K if you want to scale up in real estate.
Yeah, you need income.
They'll look through your net worth,
Yeah.
no matter what private banking you're a part of. So I still pay myself 100K, but I maxed out my RSP. And I only pay myself as a dividend. So the most tax efficient way, but I want to be able to qualify for more real estate if I'm buying, but at the same time to be the most tax efficient. And when people invest in RSP, a lot of times they want to shelter their full-time income, right? And they can use it in there, go invest in real estate with stocks. But again, you're right. If you're doing stocks or selling option and RSP, you can only sell cover call. You cannot sell cash secure puts. But what you could do is buy individual stocks that you want to hold for a long time and go sell cover calls and earn cash flow while you're waiting for it to go up, or just do it on index too, right? SPY and all that all has their own cover call contracts that you can, or there's like cover call ETF too. Again, but don't ask me about it. I don't do those. So I know you had a video. I just saw your most recent video on it, and I'm sure you dive deep in it and you will realize how frequent they trade, how much thing they take out of. So again, do your own research. If you can do it on your own, like truthfully, you don't have to learn from anyone, and you can just do it on your own. But just getting aware of it and keep moving forward, and watch Tracy's that video, the most recent video about cover call ETF. I saw that, so I gotta mention it.
Yeah. Anyways, it's still trend. It's still doing well. So anyways, that's okay. I mean, I love the fact that you said,
Make your first 10K.
Yeah, make your first 10K.
Before you even think about all this corporation structure.
Yeah.
Prove it first.
Yeah, and I would say even, okay, so again, cautious me, I would stretch it even further. I think that just from my experience with a corporation, you got to make 36K and not want to withdraw that money to make it even worthwhile to have a corporation for a long time.
Why 36K?
I don't know. It's just my accountant told me this number. So again, I'm not an accountant. This is just my accountant telling me. But making that first 36K, because you have to pay HST, then because once you're in a corporation, you charge business taxes for active income. And then you also have to pay the annual fee, for filing. And usually you'll have to pay your accountant, which is like a few $1,000s for me. And the power of a corporation is being able to control the income that you collect. So if you if you make say like profit $10,000 and then you immediately withdraw it from your corporation because you need it to pay bills, it kind of defeats the purpose of a corporation.
That's a very good point. And the way my accountant put it, multiple of them put it, is like the Canadian taxing system is called integration system. So if you are going to take out every single bit of money from your corporation, you might as well not have a corporation. But if your plan is to shelter it so that you can snowball it up top faster, you don't really need it because you have other source of income to, modulate it, then it's worth it. Yeah. And if you're growing, like most of my students are growing, right? They're just like, Cody, proof of concept, I couldn't put in more money, multiple 6-figure, multiple 5-figure. So they are in a growing mindset. But if you're just like, Cody, I want to pull all the money out, well, think twice then. There's no point. What are you sheltering? You just flow through, you pay more money on the corp, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got to do a fun round robin.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what's your favorite book of all time?
I would say it's the Who Not How.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like Dan Sullivan. It's not a very innovative concept, but it's a concept that basically teach you that a lot of times you don't have to do everything. You can hire out most of the things and focus on what you do best. And when you have to focus there, for example, for me is from making content, getting on podcasts, learning how to speak on stage, make sure our strategy works really well, managing the team. But everything else, I should just outsource it so I have a balanced life. So Who Not How. That's my book.
Awesome. Well, I got to check that out. So what's your favorite fruit?
Got to be coconut.
Coconut. Is that a fruit? Okay.
Coconut, you can eat the white thing inside, right?
I've never considered a fruit.
No, I love coconut water. And in any Asian country, because I just came back from Asia for a golf trip and I fly around, whenever they have coconut, I'll ask for it and they'll take out all the white meat inside for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just saw people just drink it and then just
No, there's white meat inside. They'll cut it in half, they'll cut it for you.
Eat it, right.
And in Thailand, they have coconut ice cream and it's one of the best. There's mango rice, coconut ice cream. Mango rice is another. Again, I love a lot of fruits, but if I only have to pick one, it's coconut because as both bring me happiness, also have a lot of nutrition.
You're just trying to squeeze everything. It's got 2 for 1. It's got the juice and the insides. Okay, then let's talk about favorite podcasts.
Favorite podcast, yeah, of course. You guys probably see the background. Our podcast is a Wealth Buster. We talk everything about wealth. We're gonna have Tracy on. And I think the next podcast that you talk about, you just introduced me. I used to love like Alex Ramosi stuff and all that, but you just introduced me to All In podcast, and I'm really pumped to listening to billionaires.
Oh yeah.
And to just get the vision of how do you get there? Do I want to get there?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Do
you
I
want to get there? Yeah.
Because the bigger you grow, the more problem you have.
Yeah, way
There's
bigger
always
problem.
a sweet spot for that, and for every business, like how many mil you want to do. Over certain things is more headache than the gain. The marginal happiness is. I was the most happy when I have 100K in my account.
Right.
But after that, just more headaches coming.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I want to listen to that podcast too.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, also because one of the guys is actually from Ottawa. He went to Lisgar, and it's just that small connection that makes it like more real for me.
So I think the conclusion is, if you want to become a millionaire, we're already a millionaire, want to become a multimillionaire, then watch Wealth Busters podcast. But if you want to become a billionaire, go check out All In podcast. But I haven't watched any yet, but Tracy says super good.
I love it. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cody. This has been fun.
Yeah.
We'll talk again.